University. Seeing our little video here, he was pretty good. He was a two-time All-Big East defensive player, and in 1997, he was the Defensive Player of the Year. It's fun to hear as you watch these videos. He was drafted 25th overall by the Jacksonville Jaguars in 1998 and was blessed to be a record-setting strong safety for 10 years. It was in Jacksonville where some of you, especially Packers fans, may remember his tenacious hit on wide receiver Robert Ferguson coming across the middle where it literally looked like he took his head off. Robert laid motionless on the field for a few minutes, but Donovan did say he was sorry. The sorry didn't help. He was fined $75 grand. More than I have made in my first 5 years in business combined. In 2010, Donovan founded Donovin Darius Next Level Training and Performance, where he hosts elite sports camps for youth athletes and coaches. He is a proud recipient and recent winner of a Sports Emmy Award for his sports training programs and personal development methodology. Donovan also founded his 501c3 in Jacksonville, Florida. His foundation focuses on partnering with other nonprofit organizations to host life camp skills that tackle our community's greatest social and personal challenges. In addition to being a husband, a proud father of 4 girls, God bless your soul, and an organizational leader, Donovan currently works with all NFL teams and players in his role as a certified transitions life coach. His duties there include helping players and their wives transition into and from the NFL by helping them identify their life's passion, create goals, and a sustainable plan to achieving them. As you can see by the photos, not only or the videos, not only at Syracuse but in the NFL, he was without a doubt the hardest hitting strong safety, the hardest hitting player ever to play at Syracuse. And he actually agreed last night at dinner that any advisor who does less than 100 activity points for the next 3 months, he's going to perform the Oklahoma drill with you. So those of you who don't know what the Oklahoma drill is, you basically line 2 guys up and they blast each other as hard as they can. Now, Donovan's good friend and teammate at Syracuse, Jason Poles, who was here with us, was at dinner last night. He told me last night that Donovan knocked 2 guys out in the Oklahoma drill, literally knocked them out cold. And after the second one, they had to change the rules of how they did it, so Donovan stopped killing people. When Mike said, "Tim, do you want to introduce Donovan?" after my heart stopped beating 1,000 miles a minute, I was like, yeah. So I went in my basement, and I happened to find a ticket stub from 1996 Syracuse versus Miami, a couple of game programs. And for me, it's a super honor and privilege to introduce Donovan. Last night was an amazing meal. I'm guaranteeing you will walk out of here wanting to flip tables and call people. And also, I thought this would kind of be neat. Jason brought this. This is an old Donovan jersey. It was a game-worn jersey. And so, do you think this still fits or not?
It can.
So, help me again welcome Donovin Darius.
Hey, give yourself another round of applause. Anyway, I'm turning this one down. How's this thing? Can you guys hear me in the back? All right, awesome. Well, before I get started, I just believe in everything that I've learned about Northwestern Mutual over the last several months, that I'm in a room full of life achievers and big dreamers. If that's you, raise your hand. If you value changing the lives of people, empowering others to not only have the best now, but for generations to come. Let me see who's in the room as well. Well, awesome. So I'm in the right room. So I'm Donovin Darius, as he mentioned. Thank you again, Tim, for a wonderful introduction. I want to thank Paul for having me. I want to thank Debbie for everything you've done. It's assisted me to get to this point. It's been awesome for me to ride this journey. For these next few minutes, I'm going to take you guys on a little journey. Everybody here, I believe, had greatness in them. Everyone here was destined for success and greatness. Everyone here, you're here because I believe you live with your values. I believe that what you do in life is because of who you are. And so I'm going to share some things as we continue to go that will encourage you, that will motivate you, I'm going to share some stories about my personal journey, so that as you see at the end of the day, that we're all connected. I was born in Camden, New Jersey. That number, does anybody know what that number represents? SAT score. Nope. That would have been nice. Back in the day when there was only math and reading both combined. That number for me, I started in humble beginnings. That number, 1,320, is how many miles it is from Camden, New Jersey. That's 1001 Division Street. That's where I grew up, one of 5 children. My mom had 5 kids by the age of 23. I had a father who went to Vietnam and came back with substance abuse problems. My mom did everything she could to try to take care of us. She worked 2 jobs, in and out of the hospital because of stress. She knew nothing else but to sacrifice her life. She knew nothing else but to teach us character and take us to church. She knew nothing else but to understand that she may not have had the money to give us, she may not have had the clothes to give us, the vehicles, all those things that some kids have. But what she gave us her heart. And in that home in 1001 Division Street, there was many days that I came inside that house and I would check the light switch just to see if we had electricity. That was a very normal occasion for me. Times in the middle of the night, I would check the water, and the water didn't work. Not because we didn't want it, but because we couldn't afford it. In that house, I remember we used to have an air conditioner we used to put in the front window right there, and we used to put a blanket between the upstairs and the downstairs, just so the downstairs can be cold, because again, in a house like that, that air gets upstairs and the whole house is hot. But in that house right there is where I learned some of the most strongest values about my life. And when I learned about Northwestern Mutual, when I understood that you're about growth, respect and responsibility, integrity, passion, and leadership, I learned that in that house right there. People often wonder, they say, how can those that come from the toughest upbringings grow up with the greatest drive? Because when you live in a house like that, you have circumstances like that, you're forced to look at the things that's what's most important. And what was most important there was for me to be all that I can, to provide for my family. See, my dream was to help my mom. My dream was to say, you know what, Mom, you did everything you can for 5 kids. Now let one of these kids do something for all of you. My dream was to see, how can I bring you to a place where you have choices, you have options. This is not what you have to do, it's what you want to do. And what you provide at Northwestern Mutual, when you're focusing on people first, you're providing for them financial security, you're taking the long view in mind, you're beginning with the end in mind. You're giving people, just like I wanted to give my mom, the opportunity to have a choice. The next one, we know that, to carry a dome. Carry a dome was a lot of things happened for me. It was a tremendous blessing. The miles from Camden, New Jersey to Syracuse. Here, as Tim mentioned, I got a chance to meet Jay, and we had some great times here. Here, I got a chance to learn what it meant to be from a boy to a young man. When I was here in Syracuse, not only did I get an opportunity to play football, but one of the most important things that happened to me, and I'm going to share about with it later, but one of the things that happened to me in Syracuse was I got a chance to continue my dream. See, when I was at 1001 Division Street, I went out for football. I made the team, the Centerville Simmons. But they said, after the practice, they said, Donovan, it costs $35. And we didn't have $35. And so my career of ever playing football was stopped because we didn't have someone like you that can help us, show us how can we take a little and stretch it? How we can manage it. Not because we didn't try, but we didn't have the knowledge. We didn't have the understanding. We didn't know how to have the options. And so when I came in here and I said, how many people love to make an impact? When you make an impact into the life of someone, you're helping someone like me. When I made the team, to be able to sign up and actually play. And so when I got to Syracuse, I got here and I got a chance to meet so many friends. I got a chance to do so many things. I got a chance to meet people that I'll forever be indebted to. And more than anything, I got a chance to learn me. I got to learn, who am I? What is my life about? What motivates me? What encourages me? And more importantly, why am I doing what I'm doing? And then, of course, the last one, Jacksonville Jaguars. The draft happened last night. I'll never forget. I was in Delray, New Jersey, April 23rd, 1998. I'm sitting in a white Jeep Cherokee. On that day, everybody was in the house. And everybody was packed. They all wondered, Donovan, what's going to happen today? Is today our life going to change? So just think about that. It's a matter of one phone call. I could be in California. I could be in Seattle. I could be in New England, which may not be a bad thing. Or I could be in Jacksonville. And so I'm sitting in the car, as you can imagine. I'm trying to get away from everything. Life is coming at me in all different ways. And as I'm sitting there, I'm just listening to a song. It was a song by Yolanda Adams. The name of the song was "The Battle Is Not Yours. It Belongs to the Lord." And so for me, that was my place of escape. That's how I chose. And so as I'm sitting there, and the family and everybody's up in the house, I'm listening to the song, I close my eyes, just to kind of break away. And out of nowhere, and this is the first day of the draft, I got a knock on the door. Boom, 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 boom. It was my brother Antoine. He said, Donovan, Jacksonville's on the phone. I said, what? He said, Jacksonville's on the phone. Man, I got out that car so fast. Now, if they timed me in a 40, I would have been at 2.5 seconds. I got up there so fast. But it was interesting, when I got up the steps, and we lived on the second story, I got up there, and the house was full. But it was like Moses when they parted the Red Sea. Everybody just moved away, and I see my mom, the one who I'm saying, I'm ready to change your life. This is an opportunity. She's standing with the phone in her hand because Coach Coughlin had called on the other line. So I got over to the phone. I got the phone. I said, hello. He says, Donovan. Coach Coughlin was on the other line. He said, Donovan, we're about to draft you with the 25th pick. He said, would you like to be a Jaguar? I said, you better believe it. At that moment, everybody in the house was quiet. And everybody turned their attention to the TV. We looked at TV at the monitor as Paul Tagliabue, which was now Roger Goodell, walked across that stage. As he walked across the stage, he said, with the 25th pick of the 1998 draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Donovin Darius out of Syracuse, New York. Man, you can imagine, the house went crazy, everybody was excited, and my brother's like, man, I knew he was going there. Everybody became all these prophets, right? They knew what was going to happen. So I'm like, okay, but at that moment, in all those tears, in all those cheers, one word I heard in the back of my mind. Purpose. Purpose. That meant that at that moment, that call, everything that happened before then had to do with that moment. Purpose. And everything that happened after that had to do with that moment. Purpose. I not only have a purpose and responsibility as you have to your clients and your families. I not only had a responsibility to my family, but to the team I was coming to. But not only to the team, but to the community. Not only to the community, but the people that I will come to meet. Responsibility. I now get a chance to, as Tim mentioned, 4 years ago, the NFL called me and said, Donovan, we want to start a new group. We want to start a new program. And that program is called the NFL Life Coaches. We want to have guys that played to come together. We want to get you certified in life transition, relationship management skills, mental health first aid, and applied suicide intervention skills training. We want guys like you to reach out to other guys and find out where they're at. Walk with them through life challenges. Walk with their wives. Walk with their family. Help them That's exactly what you guys do. You're finding people where they're at. You're not judging on them. But at the end of the day, it's all about them. Where do you want to go? How can I help you get there? And so they certify them. And so for the last 4 years, I've been an NFL life coach, working with rookies coming in, working with players that are in the league, and when they leave, that moment when I got that call, responsibility, purpose. And so 1,320 has everything to do with the miles that it took for me to travel from Camden, New Jersey, to Syracuse, New York, down to Jacksonville. My question to you, what is your mileage? What is your mileage that you traveled to get to from where you started to where you're at now? Everyone in here has a story. Everyone in here has overcome something. What is your mileage? Because at the end of the day, that mileage that you traveled is always going to define you, not because of who you were, but who you're becoming. So 1,320 was for me. One of the things I'm going to share with you guys quickly, I'm going to share with you guys seven things that's really personal to me. Things that I believe in, whether it's personal success or professional success. There's a movie there's a line in the movie that Denzel Washington was in. He said, in that movie, he said, before this, and then he said, after this, and then he said, after this, it never was the same. He said, before this, and then after this, it never was the same. What that moment was for me was when I was in church, when I was 9 years old. When I was 9 years old, as I mentioned, my mom, she did everything she could to try to provide for us. But you can understand, when you got families that's working so hard as you are, and then the families that you're taking care of, sometimes they put their health on the back burner, trying to provide. And so as they continued to do that, my mom was in the hospital. So we was at church one day. And it was something like, I'm sitting over there in the pew with my mom and my other brothers. But for some reason, I just felt something say, you know what, Donovan? You need to go to the pastor and ask him to pray for me. And so I heard that voice so clear. I need to go to the pastor and ask him to pray for me. So after the end of the church, I went to the pastor, and what I thought, I said, Pastor Bishop Jackson, can you pray for me? Because when I get older, I want to help my mom. And I want to change the lives of my family. And I'm only 9 years old, and I don't know what I can do, but I want to do whatever I can so that way I can help. And so little did I know, I thought he was just going to pray for me. But he stopped everybody in the church and said, Donovan wants to pray for him. And so when he prayed for me, I believe it was after that moment, my life totally changed. The decisions I made had everything to do with after that. The people I was around had everything to do with after that. The path of my life had everything to do with after that. How about you? Do you have that after that moment? Before you got into what you're doing now, before you came with Northwestern, and I know that there's some people who was at another company. There was a reason why you left, and there's a reason why you're here. There's a reason why you're here. For me, after that. After that. And so one of the things, if you want to be successful in anything you do, you have to, if you live a life of dedication. And so what I was able to do is I was able to dedicate. I'm dedicating my life, my time, my energy, my resources, everything for the cause of helping other people. Earl Nightingale said the definition of success, he said, is a progressive realization of a worthy ideal. A progressive realization of a worthy ideal. What is that worthy ideal? See, in life, all we have is time. That's one of our number one commodities we have. We can never get it back. So my question to you is, how are you investing your time, or how are you wasting your time? And so when I think about success, and you think about success, you think about a goal, you think about dedication, is a progressive realization of a worthy ideal. What is the ideal that you're willing to give up your life for? What is the ideal that you're willing to sacrifice for, stay up at night for, make phone calls for, listen to a person's problems, issues, be there for them, go to the baby shower, do those things? What is that? Why are you doing it? For me, it had everything to do With my mom. That's my mom. Roberta Darius. When I would intercept a ball in the NFL, I would stop the NFL. I would stop everything and take my mom the ball. The TV cameras would stop so you can understand why I'm here and who I'm dedicating this play to. That woman right there, Roberta Darius. And I'm sure for you, is there somebody that you can think about that you are living your life for to make it better? If you have somebody in your life that you want to accomplish something for, you want to help so bad, let me see you raise a hand. And as I said, so for me, it was my mom. So when you live a life of dedication, when you understand it's bigger than you, when you understand that you're here for a certain purpose and a reason, then life takes on a whole new meaning. It makes it worth it when things get tough. It makes it worth it when you're going through tough times. I was talking to Jonas earlier before, and I was asking, I said, Jonas and Jeff, I said, hey, what, as new guys in the business, what's some of the toughest parts of being in the business? He said, you know, going through the ups and downs, the ins and the outs of the business. That's some of the toughest parts. But when you live life with dedication, it makes it all worth it. When you get tired, it makes it all worth it. When I had 980 solo tackles in the NFL, when I had over about 7 concussions, I had tore my ACL, a couple of surgeries here, and I had a medical file this much, it was worth it. It was worth it because of the dedication that I had for that woman right there. How about you? Who are you dedicating your successes to? What is that progressive? What is that realization? What is that worthy ideal for you? What is that for you? And so the next one, discipline. You got to be disciplined. If you want to accomplish anything in life, you have to be disciplined. People always say, Donovan, what did it take for you to get to the NFL? A lot of lonely days. A lot of lonely days. Eagles never flock together. Chickens flock together. If you ever want to see an eagle, you have to go up to where eagles are at. That level, that attitude. You got to go up to the aptitude. They know more things. They see differently. They think differently. They are willing to discipline themselves and do what others are not willing to do to get what others will never have. You have to have discipline. And so when I started to learn even more about Northwestern Mutual, I said, wait a minute. Whether it's NFL, whether it's collegiate sports, whether it's Northwestern Mutual, it seems like everything comes down to a discipline of a process. So no matter where you go, there's always steps to take. And no matter where you go, if you don't follow those steps, you can find yourself in kind of a limbo stage or frustrated. And so I heard these numbers, 3 numbers, and I guess you guys probably know it if I say it. If I say 25, if I say 60, if I say 83, does those numbers ring a bell, anybody? 25 is what? Fact finders, right? 60 is what? Kept meetings, right? 83 is what? Anybody want to tell me? Refer. Those numbers. If you keep those, discipline yourself to do it. You know what that was in the NFL for me? 3 things. Being hungry, being healthy, and being hungry. Being hungry means that I don't care how much success I had last year, it's time to do it all over. It don't matter how much they paid me, my contract was. I'm hungry. I'm hungry for more. More what? Money? No. More impact. I'm hungry for what? More encouragement. Making lives different. That's what I'm hungry for. And I was talking to Jonas earlier as well, and they say, and you know, you always hear when people say, oh man, I'm hungry to make more money. How many people in here are hungry to make more money? Raise your hand, be honest. All right? If you're not hungry to make more money, you're lying. And let me share what you want. Because when you have money, you have choices in life. When you have money, you have options. You can live life a little more comfortably. And when you have money, you can help more people. When you dedicate your life to making an impact to help people, when you have more money, you can do that. And so the byproduct of adding value and adding service is you will make more money. I was sharing with Mike and them last night. Always understand this. Wealth always travels after value. It chases value down. The more value you give, the more wealth is going to chase you down. The more service you give, the more success is going to come after you. It's just automatic. Just like gravity. It's a law. Whatever goes up must come. Whatever goes up must come. The more value I give, the harder I work, the more I do and more than they ask me to do, the more value that comes to me. I was fortunate in the NFL to be in the record books. And I was in the record books for being franchise tagged. I was the only defensive back in the history of the NFL to be franchise tagged 3 years in a row. And here's what the franchise tag is. It is just very similar to the ribbons that you get. They say, we're going to give the franchise tag to the player who we can't afford to lose. So that means that on one day, I'll get a chance to be a free agent and mean any team can get me. But if they give me that tag and put that tag on me the day before, that means I'm locked in for that team. So in one way, it's a badge of honor. Because they say, I am that one player, and they only can put on one player that they can't afford to lose. How much value are you bringing to Northwestern Mutual? How much value are you bringing to the clients that you serve? How much value? Because at the end of the day, the law of compensation says this. You will earn money in ratio to three things. Number one, to the need that there is for what you do. Is there a need to provide a holistic financial support and plan? Yes, there is. You will earn money in ratio to the second thing, your ability to do it. How good are you at what you do? How good are you at making calls? How good are you at following up? How good are you at understanding the market? How good are you at being creative? How good are you at communicating? How good are you at overcoming obstacles and adversity? How good are you? Because you will earn money in exact ratio to your ability to do what you do. And then the third thing that you'll earn money in exact ratio to is the difficulty that there is in replacing you. So somebody else can come along and do exactly what you're doing, they can get somebody else to do it. So if you're not happy with how much commission or how much money or anything, add more value. How difficult is it to replace you? How difficult is it to replace you? And so when they gave me the franchise tag, that's exactly what they were saying. That Donovan, for 3 years, you're the most valuable player that we can't afford to lose. If anybody played football, you know how difficult that could be to be as healthy, to be achieving and perform at that highest level for 3 straight years without having a downturn. But at the end of the day, when your mind is focused on the discipline, those type of things happen. To be disciplined, you got to have self-mastery. You got to know you. You got to say, okay, well, what are the things that I need to do to become better than I was yesterday, and do it? You guys have a manual. When I played football, the guru for me was Ronnie Lott and Steve Appleton. Those were some safeties that I used to watch their tape and find out, what did they do? What did they say? How did they approach the game? How did they approach their teammates? How did they approach practice? How did they do the little things? And then I gravitated to it. And then I did it. They created the process. They created the structure. All I had to do was bring me to it and follow this process. Heard you have a living legend in your own. He passed away a couple of years that you guys have a mind. Al Grant. He wrote it. He made it. He showed the way. So that's just like, if somebody doesn't follow it, then what does that mean? That's like me looking at Ronnie Lott, a Hall of Fame football player, or Steve Edwards, who already did it, and I say, okay, I see what you did, I see how you do things, but I want to do it my own way. I'll be a fool to do that. You'd be a fool to say, wait a minute, somebody already wrote the script for me. Somebody already showed me how to do it. Somebody already paved the way. and I'm trying to reinvent the wheel. How many of you guys have children? And so imagine, that's just like you tell your children. Or you see your children trying to do something that you already told them how to do it. And they decide I want to do it my own way. I'm fortunate to have 4 girls, as you said. All the women in here, you guys know what that's like, so please pray for me, okay? I have 4 girls, ages 8, 15, 17, 19. Yes, exactly, right, exactly. You got, hey, if you feel so bad, man, send me something because they got 4 weddings, all right? So definitely. But you think about that. You have someone that wrote it, that gave you the roadmap. And when you find yourself in difficult times, it goes back to discipline. It goes back to the basics. It goes back to the basics. You can either suffer the pain of discipline or suffer the pain of regret. I had a coach, Frank Gans, he passed away a couple years ago. He said, Donovan, there's 2 types of pains in this world. He said there's the pain of loss. You lose something, you can replace it. But then he said there's the pain of regret, and it never goes away. He says, I wish I could have did this. Or I could have did this, I should have did this. It never goes away. I have teammates all the time that I meet that feel that same way. So what could you be doing today? What can you do tomorrow? What can you do Monday so you don't have any regret? Who do you need to call? Who do you need to follow up with? What do you need to learn? What do you need to master about yourself? So that way you can make that impact. Comes down to discipline. The next one, you got to have a drive. You got to be driven. You got to be driven to something. You got to have a real reason of why you do what you do. When I think of drive, I think about the purpose. You know, the purpose of the thing is the very reason why it exists. The purpose of the thing is actually the end that gave the beginning its meaning. The purpose is the finished part already. Anybody remember those old Hot Wheel cars we used to have back in the day? Where you had the car and it has springs in the wheels. And you roll it back and you let it go, then the car rolls on itself. Purpose is the fact that it's already out there for you to accomplish. Now you got to start back from the beginning. That's the reason why I do what I do. It's the reason why I study. It's the reason why I work hard. It's the reason why I do what I do. Everything starts to your why, your reason, and your drive. Because listen, as we all know, you're going to get tired. It's going to be some tough times. And when those tough times come, you always got to go back to that reason why you do what you do. I'll never forget, I was 30 years in Syracuse, and we had practice, and after practice I went home, and I used to live up on Winding Ridge over at Skytime. And that was back in the day when we had those old telephone answering machines, and so I had an answering machine there, and there was a light blinking. And I pushed the button to listen to my messages. And on the phone, on the voice message was my mom. But there was something about her voice this day that was different from any other time. I heard my mom in a panic. She, Donovan, I need you to call me right now. It was something about it, about that call, that told me something wasn't right. How many of you guys ever received a call and you knew something was going on the other side? Well, I got that call, and I called my mom back. She said, Donovan, I hate to tell you this, but your brothers, Antoine and Chris, who were both high school students, they were at track practice, and somebody went up to the school, and they had a gun. And they pulled out a gun right on them and pointed at them and said, if they don't do this, that, and the other, that they was going to kill them. And I'm a Syracuse right now. I'm a student. I'm an athlete. I'm only about 20 years old. And I get that call. And so I was like, Mom, tell me, I'm trying to calm my mom down on the other line, but I can hear her crying. I can hear the panic. And out of nowhere, there's something on the inside of me. Like when you get that call and you got to answer. I said, Mom, put him on the bus. Send him up here with me. I had no idea how I was going to do it. I had no idea how I was going to take care of it. But life called me. And I had to answer the call. You're going to be that person on the other line. Life is going to call you. You got to answer that call. When you're somebody's last hope, you have to answer that call. And so I brought my brothers up here, and they live with me. They got up here. My mom put them on the bus. I got the call on Thursday. That Friday, she sent them up on the bus. That Monday, by the grace of God and the help of other people in the Syracuse organization, they were enrolled in Energize High School. So not only was I a full-time student, a full-time athlete, but now I was a father. I was a brother. I was a friend. My purpose. My purpose. And so after that year, they stayed with me. They stayed with me for 2 years. That next year, going into my senior year, I get a chance to come out for the draft. And I was like, wait a minute, is this my chance? Should I go? Should I go get drafted right now because I can make money to help my family? But they still have 1 more year left. They're now going into their senior year. And so I get that call. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and reach out to the NFL and see what do they think I should do. Because I don't want to just run after the money, but I want to see them graduate. Because if I don't see them graduate and they don't graduate, they may never graduate. And so at the moment of decision, I talked to a team, Washington Redskins, and I said, I'm thinking about coming out for the draft. What do you think? Can you help me? They said, Donovan, we saw film on you, and we think that you're pretty good. They said, but we don't think that another year will hurt you. And so I decided to come back. My reason, my drive, when I made that decision to come back, had nothing to do with what round I was going to get drafted in. It had everything to do with I got to see my brothers graduate. I got to answer the call for life. I'm not doing what I'm doing for money. I'm doing it to change lives. And that's what you're doing. When you decided to sign up, you decided to do this, to be a life changer, a life impactor, to help revolutionize somebody's life. You're answering the call. You're being driven by the right things. And so you got to understand, life is going to call you. Life, if it hasn't called you already, it will. It will. And my desire for everyone is that you continue to answer the call, because at the end of the day, everything in life has a purpose. Everything in life has a purpose. You may not understand why you're going through something, but it had a purpose. Me getting prayer at that one moment came to pass when I got that call, basically 10 years, 20, 11 years later. What you're doing now has a purpose. You may not know why you're going through it, but it has a purpose. Not only are you going to have to understand this for you, but you're going to have to understand it for individuals that you help as well. And then the last part of being driven, got to be driven with a vision. My good book says, without a vision, the people perish. They perish. Because they don't have any idea where they're going. I flew here from Jacksonville. Before that pilot ever takes off, he or she goes through a checklist. They put the coordinates in exactly of where they're going. How about you? Do you know where you're going? Do you have a clear vision of where you're going? Not only for you, for your clients, for your family, and for this organization. The vision is what's out there before you. The goals are the benchmarks you take to get to the vision. And then the plan is how you get to those points. Everybody has to have a vision. Without a vision, the people perish. And so when you think about this, you guys, the next one is, let's click over one. Decide. Life is going to hit you sometimes. Life is going to catch you on the blind side. Life sometimes is going to come up and put its hands around your neck, and they seem like it's choking you financially, emotionally, mentally, physically, whatever it may be. And you have to decide, what am I going to do? You're going to have to decide, do I go forward or do I turn around? I heard somebody say the reason why the rear view mirror is so small is so you can look forward and not look back. You have to decide. There was a moment in my life several years ago where I had so much going on, where it felt like so much pressure coming at me, where it felt like the walls of my mind could not protect me. It caused me to challenge and look at my life. Where am I going? What am I doing? Why am I going? What are my relationships? And I had to look at those things. Because sometimes, how many of you guys know that life all the time ain't fair? How many times you know that, listen, life will blindside you. You think you can have all your ducks in a row, but out of nowhere you get a call, right? And out of nowhere you see a statement. Out of nowhere somebody disappoints you. It's at that moment you have to decide. Nobody can make that decision but you. You have to decide exactly what that's going to be for you. And so when you think about that, I remember it was 1999. I was a second-year player here. And I got a call, another call. Man, what's up with these phones, right? I got a call from back home. And it was about my grandma. And they said, Donovan, your grandma only have a couple more days to live. I had to decide. And I had a game coming up the next day. And I said, you know what? I had to decide. What am I going to do? At that moment, one of the toughest decisions I decided that I had to make. I talked to my mom, I talked to my wife, I talked to my family, and they said, Donovan, we want you to play the game. We want you to play the game. Because Grandma would have wanted you to play. So I went out and I dedicated that game to my grandma. And in that game, because of that decision to dedicate my life to her and that game to her, on defense, I had 20 tackles, I had 2 interceptions, I had 3 pass breakups, I was named AFC Defensive Player of the Week, all because I made a decision to live my life and to dedicate it. When you think about your life, what are you deciding right now? What is that decision that you have to make? Is it to get better? Is it to do something you haven't done? But everybody has to decide. The next thing, you got to be determined. You have to be determined. Those shoes, what they remind me of and represent to me is when I was 11 years old, I used to run track. And one day we were running cross country and we were on a 10-mile run. And halfway through the run, the bottom of my shoes came off. And so I had a decision halfway through. Am I going to stop or am I going to finish? And at that moment, with tears in my eyes, I continued to jog home. Shoes busted up, basically running on just bare feet. In order to accomplish anything in life, you've got to be determined. Because at the end of the day, life is not easy, but life is worth it. Life isn't easy, but life is totally worth it. And so when you think about being determined, and you think about it, it comes down to your expectation. What do you expect? When you wake up in the morning, one of the great things I get a chance to do now, is talk to people on mindset development. And I ask them, how is life treating you? When you wake up in the morning, do you wake up expecting things to happen for you today? Are you waking up happy? Are you looking at life from half full or half empty? How are you looking at life? Because we don't get in life what we want. We get in life who we are. And so who you think it is. I heard the story of a guy who moved into a new town. And he moved to 2 towns, so he said, I'm just going to drive around. I want to see what the neighbors are like. So he pulled up to one guy and he said, yes, John. He said, you know what, sir, I just moved to town and I just want to know what the people are like in this city. The guy said, you know what are the people like where you came from? He said, man, they're evil, they're mean, they talk behind your back. He said, well, that's what the people are like here in the town, in the town as well. Same guy, another guy drove up to the same guy and said, you know what, I'm here, I'm new. He said, I just moved here, what the people like? He said, you know what, here? He said, the people here, he said, what they were like where you come from? He said, well, they were nice, they were kind, they were generous, families played together. He said, well, they're going to be exactly like that here. See, in life, you guys, what we expect, what we set our mind to, that's exactly what we'll get. See, if you're able to wake up every morning and say, you know what, today, I'm expecting things to work out for me. I'm expecting people to help me today. I'm expecting to close this. I'm expecting to do this. You're going to see how life will reward you from that. In the NFL as well, Jason can tell you, man, if we went out there and I was expecting to get ran over, how many of you guys think I probably would have got ran over? But in those clips you saw, my mindset was this. You're stopping me. You're in between me and taking care of my family. And as long as I prepare, I'm going to dominate and I'll be determined. Next one's dominate. All right, now listen, this is not the Oprah show where I say, hey, everybody gets one of those. So that's not under your chair. Make sure you don't worry about that. But when I think about life and I think about dominating, what I think about is you have to take ownership. When you think about your dreams, you think about your goals. Think about it. Is life dominating you or are you dominating life? Are you allowing situations to move you? Are you a puppet in life? Or are you basically, by the act of your will, moving the life the way you want to go? It comes down to you taking ownership. Your business will grow or fail because of what you do. It's nobody's fault or responsibility but you. I heard someone say that we are the masters of our soul. We are the makers and shapers of our destiny, our environment, and our circumstances. When you take personal ownership into your life, into your family, into your business, then you'll grow and grow where you decide you want to be. It starts in the mind. I remember when I got married, I was a ring shop. Ladies, is that a nice size ring? All right. I went ring shopping. And as I'm learning about the rings, man, one of the things that stood out to me, I was like, wait a minute. If I want to dominate in life, I got to really know my value. I got to know who I am, whose I am, and I got to know my value. I'm not my circumstances. I'm not the things I went through. I'm not even what other people say. I got to know my value. And so as I went ring shopping, I started to learn so much about this diamond. I started to learn about the 4 C's of a diamond that when I started attributing it to life, it really gave me clarity. And my life took off to another level. I learned that one of the C's is about the cut of a diamond. And they say, do you know that the more a diamond is cut strategically, the more valuable that diamond is? In life, that cut is disappointment. That cut is hardship you went through. That cut is when somebody gave you a promise and they let you down. That cut is when you took 2 steps forward and 3 steps backwards. So instead of that cut that we go through in life being something to hold us back, when you had the first 2 best years of your life in a business, and then all of a sudden it seemed like you can't get anybody to return your call, that cut, as a diamond, it increases its value. When you understand that the more cut you've had in your life, the more cuts, the more valuable you are. You start to know your value. You start to appreciate it. The next C is the color. They say, you know what, there's a rainbow of colors that you can have for a diamond. They said, but the best and most valuable color of a diamond is no color at all. So that just means that in life, that when I'm able to look at life and I'm not able to see color, I'm not able to see division, I'm not able to see social economic, I'm not able to see religion, I'm not able to see politics. When I'm able to see life as clear as day, my value goes up. I'm able to see people for who they are as a human being and as part of this generation together. So the more your clarity, the more you're able to see no color at all, the more you're able to remove all lines, all divisions, all possible things that can separate you, the more valuable you become to this business, the more valuable you become to those who depend on you. And the next one is the clarity. The more fine that diamond is, the less defaults that it has. To me, in life, that's the more you're focused and living out your purpose. The more you're not being distracted by what's here, what's hot, what's the latest thing here, what's the new trend there. The more you have clear vision. The clearer your vision, the clarity. You know what they say is a diamond? The more clear your vision, the more clarity, the more valuable you are. And then the last one is your character. The heavier that diamond, the more valuable it is. So that just means in life, the more weight that you have on you, the weight of your family, the weight of your business, the weight of your personal responsibility, the more valuable you become. And so how many in here right now feel like you have a weight on you, a weight of responsibility of someone or something? Just know this. When you know your value, just as that diamond sparkles, so you'll sparkle. So you'll shine. In the midst of whether it's recession, whether it's uptime or downtime. When you know your value, you'll shine. So shine bright like a diamond. Last one. Dream. How many in here got a dream, man, to do something that you haven't done before, to go somewhere you haven't went, okay, to impact somebody you haven't? How many dreamers I got at? I just want to know if I'm in the right room. And so when you think about your dream, man, I'm going to encourage you right now. Don't stop dreaming. Don't stop dreaming. Don't stop dreaming. See, as a kid, we dream a lot. But as you get older, something happens. Where they tell you, stop, what? Daydreaming. They tell you, stop, get focused, get real. But do you understand? When they told us to do that, they told us to stop being creative. They told us, you know what? Is that possible? Nah. Or somebody got sick, and they said 95% of people died because of this. Well, what about the 5% that didn't? I want to get around them. What about the 5% of people that did extremely a super amount of things in this business? I want to get around them. I want to learn from them. I want to continue to dream. Because at the end of the day, when I dream, great things happen. When you dream, you got to run after it. My dream when I was young was to be in the NFL. That was my dream. And there was a lot of things that came along that would hold me back. But I had to keep running after it. I couldn't walk after my dream. I couldn't stroll after my dream. I had to run after my dream. And you got to do the same thing. Because if you live life casually, you're going to end up a casualty. So you got to have a sense of urgency about what you do. You got to run after what those things are that means the most to you. And the next thing, man, when you think about dreaming, you got to expect the resistance. And just know that resistance is part of the journey. See, if I go in the weight room, I know that if I want to build a chest muscle, I need weights to do it. I need resistance to get stronger. I need resistance to develop muscles. I need resistance to get faster. But how many people are running away from resistance, adversity? When you understand, when I flew here on the airplane, man, you can imagine these big airplanes riding down the runway. And sometimes we've been in those storms where the wind that's coming against the airplane is so strong. It's just like, man, I don't have no idea how this airplane will get in the air. But that airplane somehow takes off and gets in the air. But because of the law of aerodynamics, that same wind that was opposing that airplane, the same wind that was making that airplane shake, the same adversity that was coming against that plane before I took off, is the same wind that is needed to get me to my destination. So your adversity, your trials, your tribulations, they're not here to destroy you. They're here to take you to your next level. They're here to get you where your vision has already brought you. And so when you look at your life, you got to understand, I got to expect it. It's all part of it. I asked earlier, how many have kids? And then when he said how many have kids, we understand that as a child, a baby, when they're learning to walk, how many times does that baby fall down and get back up? But what if we had the mentality of some of us as adults that when we face adversity, we give up? We stop doing the things that it takes to do what we already did. But what do we do as a child? We get them back up. Maybe you want to do it. You get them back up again. Get back in and you can do it. We can pick them back up again. And that's how it is in life. In life, we're all going to fall. As they say, fail your way to success. Because failure is nothing but feedback. There's no such thing as permanent failure. It's only feedback. Do it another way. Go another thing. Reach out to somebody different. Because at the end of the day, you're being developed. And then one of the things I want to tell you last about the dream is it's about that mindset. When I learned this, I was able to look back and I said, you know what, that was the difference. In life, we all have natural functions. Sight, sound, touch, hear, taste. And for the most part, as a professional athlete, I got a chance to learn this. That majority of us live our life based off what we see, what we hear, what we feel, okay, what we touch, and what we taste. But do you know that we have 6 higher faculties of our mind that can help us do the things that we can only dream about? And I'm going to share with you quickly those 6 things. Number 1, everybody here, we all have the ability to perceive. That means in our mind, we have the ability to perceive. That means if you have 2 people looking at the same thing, one person sees one thing, another person sees another thing. Your perception. We all have a perception. You can choose whether or not to see something. You can see a downturn in the economy, and you can see it as an opportunity. You can see a setback as a victory. Everybody has a perception. The second thing we all have reasoning skills. That means that you get a chance to decide what's going to happen to you or not. Most times, and I get on my sister about this. She loves waking up with the news on in the morning. I said, baby, why? I said, Flea, why you listen to the bad news every morning? Because you'll listen to it and all they'll tell you about all the things that's happening and how you got to watch out for all this stuff. But our reasoning ability allows you to reject or accept something. There's a lot of us like right now that are living life because of what somebody else said to us. We're living life, we're living our lives because of what somebody has said over us. You can't do this. You'll never do this. Your parents didn't do that. That happened to me. It was easy for me to come on Sundays and play in the game. That was easy. It's easy for me to get up here and talk now. But the hardest part was me believing that I could do it. That was hard. Because guess what? I didn't know. I was living with some thoughts where somebody said, because you grew up in Camden, New Jersey, because you didn't have all this, you didn't play Pop Warner, or you didn't go to school for communication, because you didn't study this, because you didn't study that. But because I had the reason and ability, I had a chance to reject it. The next thing that we all have is we have our intuition. How many of you guys sometimes, it was just you had a gut reaction that, you know what, I need to call somebody, or I need to do something, that you just felt intuition about something to do. Well, we all have that. And just like a muscle, you can either use it and make it stronger, or you don't use it and it gets weaker. But if you want your business to grow, if you want to be even more impactful and effective, trust your intuition. Trust your intuition. And then one thing, we have imagination. That is our gift of life. We have the ability to dream in a way that we've never seen before. What we see now, everything we have now is because somebody dreamed it. Everything we have now is because somebody had an idea. What is that big ideal for you? What ideal are you sitting on? What invention are you sitting on? I had a pastor and friend of mine, he said, he passed away a couple years, he said, the richest place in the world is not in the 4 east winds of South Africa. It's not in the gold mines. But the richest place in the world is the cemetery. Because there lies the dreams that was never realized. There lies the books that was never written. The songs that were never wrote. What dreams do you have? What dreams do you have? Because at the end of the day, they were given to you for you and no one else. And so when you think about those things, understand, man, that everybody in here was given a dream to realize it. And so there you have. Those are 7 things that I just want to impart to you guys about being dedicating your life, being disciplined, having that drive, dominating, understanding your values, and being determined. Deciding that you're going to dream and you're going to continue to live. last 3 things I want to share with you guys is how many guys know that every day you're not going to feel motivated. Every day you're not going to feel motivated. Well, there was a bridge in Jacksonville that I had to drive over every day that I went to the stadium, every day I went to a game. It was called the Heart Bridge. It was interesting that it was called the Heart Bridge because that means that every day I drove over that bridge, I had to really decide what is it that I really want. And so I'm going to share with you guys 3 things. I actually have a 10-point thing that I did for this, but I'm going to share with you guys 3 things on how do you motivate yourself when you're not motivated. How do you motivate yourself when you're not motivated? First thing I say, you got to ask yourself, what do I really want? What do I really want in life? What do I really, really want in my family? What do I really, really want in my business? What do I really, really want for the people, for my clients? What do I really, really want? And so when I got to that bridge, the Heart Bridge, I had to check my heart at the door. I had to say, this is not called the feelings bridge. This is the Heart Bridge. And I got to go over this bridge with the very purpose of my heart. I had to go over this bridge and perform the standard on the other side and go into that stadium and live out that standard. So number 1, what do you really want? Number 2, you got to develop a health plan. This is the only vehicle that we have to fulfill your mission in life. This body. You can't do anything without this body. You cannot fulfill the dreams and the goals you have if you don't take care of yourself. And so my recommendation to you, when you're not feeling motivated, develop a health plan. One of the things I got an exercise science degree when I went to Syracuse, and I learned so much about the body that you understand when you exercise, there are some endorphins that go off in your brain. There's some hormones that are released. There's a physiological effect on your body that helps you focus, that helps you overcome, that helps you believe, that helps you conquer when you work out, when you exercise. So develop a health plan. And lastly, when you're not feeling motivated, live life with passion. Live it life with passion. They say in life, man, you're either saying hello or you're saying goodbye. You're either on the way or you're in the way. So you got to live life with passion. You got to understand that there's just some people that's going to be really negative. My recommendation to you is get away from them. Because at the end of the day, they'll drain you. I know some people are so negative that they go into a dark room and they develop on their own. They're just so negative. And so you got to identify them. And you got to get them out of your life. Because at the end of the day, we only got one life. We only got one life. And so with passion, and I'll close with this. Everybody in here has a purpose. Everybody in here was created with destiny. You have greatness on the inside. But only you can achieve it. Only you can do those things that you're meant to do. There's a saying I love. It says, don't go where there's a path. Go where there's no path and leave a trail. There are some things that you're going to have to do that hasn't been done. But then there are some things that you have to do that has been done. And the more you walk, the more you continue to live life. The more you go after your dreams, the more you live life and dedicate your life for something greater than yourself. When you live your life according to your dreams, when you continue to dream, when you dominate life, knowing your value, when you decide to live with life, and you're determined to live life with passion, great things happen. Again, I want to thank Mike. I want to thank Paul. Thank you for allowing me to come up. I'll leave you with this. When you think about your life, make an impact and leave your legacy. I'm Donovin Darius, and I want to thank you guys.
Thanks for coming. That's a wrap.
Hey,